Hello students, welcome to today's class. We'll be dealing with the topic agricultural pollution. Imagine a land covered with oil spills. Imagine a farm littered with refuse. Imagine a pond contaminated by agrochemicals. Apart from inconveniencing the farmers, the effects could be devastating and may in some cases lead to ill health and death. So in this lesson, we will be discussing about agricultural pollution and its effects. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to state the meaning of agricultural pollution. You should also be able to enumerate the causes or the sources of agricultural pollution. And finally, you should be able to highlight the effects of land or pond pollution on the farmers and agricultural productivity. So let's start with the meaning of agricultural pollution. Now, agricultural pollution is the release of toxic or harmful substances into the environment by natural forces or by man and other animals to an extent that causes biological damage to man and his resources. So it has to do with the release of toxic substances, which are also referred to as harmful substances, into the environment, which could be by natural forces or it could also be by man or animals, to an extent that will cause biological damage to man and his resources. So now let's look at the causes or the sources of pollution of agricultural lands and fish ponds. So the first we have here is excessive application of agricultural chemicals can cause soil acidity. Agricultural chemicals are relevant when it comes to the control of diseases and pests, but when they are applied in a not following the guidelines or the standard, they could cause soil acidity, which could also lead to toxicity of our crops. So next we have another cause of agricultural pollution of our agricultural land or fish pond is oil spillage. Now, oil spillage can render the lands that are available unfit for agricultural production. The land will no longer be able to be used by farmers to grow crops any longer, even to rear animals. As you can see in the picture, the devastating effect of oil spillage on this land. Another cause of pollution of agricultural land and fish pond is livestock waste and dung. Now, this livestock waste and dung can actually produce unpleasant odor around the farms and around the environment. So, especially on commercial farms where we have a lot of livestock that are being reared, there will be heavy production of waste, and this could cause unpleasant or offensive odor around the environment, leading to air pollution. Improper refuse disposal can also lead to the destruction of agricultural land when refuse has to do with solid waste. When it's not properly disposed, this could lead to the destruction of agricultural lands. As you can see, that land in the picture there is no longer fit for agricultural production. Poor or improper sewage disposal. Now, sewage disposal has to do with liquid waste. So sewage is liquid waste. Now, if this sewage is not properly disposed, it could lead to offensive odor around the farm. Let's take a look at the effects of pollution on farms and agricultural activity. Now, pesticides and fertilizers could be washed by erosion from the farmlands into rivers and streams, and this could end up destroying aquatic lives. As you can see in the picture, some of the aquatic lives, the fish, have been killed as a result of the washing of pesticides, which are chemicals, and fertilizers as a result of erosion from the farmlands into rivers and streams, which are the habitats for our aquatic organisms. Still on the effect of pollution on farms and agricultural productivity, the effect of pollution on farms and agricultural productivity is agrochemicals washed by erosion into streams make water unfit for human consumption. So people living in certain localities depend on streams as their source of water. And so if these agrochemicals are washed by erosion into the streams, the water now becomes unfit for human consumption. So that's another effect of pollution on farms and agricultural productivity. Oil spillage also makes land unavailable for food production. From the illustration, you can see in the picture, once there's oil spillage, the effect of this is that the land becomes unfit or unavailable for food production. Oil spillage can also destroy aquatic plants and animals that are living in the water. Still on the effects of pollution on farms and agricultural productivity, oil spillage will make water unfit for human consumption. Of course, water should be colorless, odorless, and tasteless, and free from pathogens and germs. And when there's oil spillage, of course, the water becomes unfit for human consumption. Indiscriminate disposal of refuse can cause respiratory disorders when the refuse decay, and that's another effect of pollution on our farms and on agricultural productivity. Another effect of pollution. Sewage, if not properly disposed, may serve as a breeding point for disease-causing organisms. So these are sewage is a source of pollution, and the effect of this sewage, if not properly disposed, could lead to breeding, serve as a breeding point for disease-causing organisms. Farm animal dung, if not properly taken care of, can also serve as a medium for breeding of pathogens. So that's another effect of pollution from agricultural activities. The farm animal dung, if not properly taken care of, could serve as a medium for breeding of pathogens. Now let's look at how we can control agricultural pollution. The first is that refuse, which is solid waste, should be burnt in an incinerator. An incinerator should be a structure that could be used, a facility that is used to properly burn our refuse to prevent pollution, environmental pollution. Sewage should be properly treated before disposal. Now, sewage is liquid waste. Once it's properly treated to get rid of every harmful substance present in it, that should be done before the sewage is disposed into the environment. Next, we have is pesticides and fertilizers should be properly used as instructed. When making use of pesticides, and also that's applying pesticides to our farmlands and also applying fertilizers, the farmer or the person applying should make sure he or she follows the proper guidelines to avoid overusage of such pesticides or fertilizers. There should also be efficient and proper disposal of animal dung or waste. Now, this will also help to prevent pollution, air pollution in the environment once the animal dungs and waste are properly disposed. There should be efficient techniques to deal with or prevent oil spillage. So measures should be taken to prevent oil spillage, which has devastating effects on the environment and on agricultural land. So oil spillage should at all costs be avoided, and certain techniques should be put into place to achieve this. Legislation should be made by government against dumping of harmful or toxic waste. Now, when laws are put in place to prevent people from dumping waste indiscriminately, it goes a long way to prevent the environment from getting polluted. And there should be strict penalties against people who dump waste indiscriminately. Okay, let's have a recap on what we've learned. In this lesson, we defined agricultural pollution as the release of harmful substances to the environment. We also looked at the causes of pollution, which has to do with excessive application of agrochemicals. It could be as a result of oil spillage. It could also be as a result of livestock waste and refuse disposal, to mention a few. We also looked at the effects of pollution, which include destruction of aquatic life, contamination of water, destruction of land, and also breeding of pathogens, to mention a few. We also looked at the control of pollution, which involves burning of refuse, using an incinerator, proper treatment of sewage, dealing with oil spillage. That's certain laws, putting laws to help control, or techniques to help control oil spillage. Thank you so much for your time. Our advice that you should also check the exam guide and surf through to answer questions that are based on this topic just to test your level of understanding. Thank you.